What is going on, everybody? A decent amount of updates here in the electric truck world. You know, it seems like things are kind of at a standstill, but it's almost like we're in this in-between time with a lot of major players about to roll the dice on some pretty serious EV truck competitors. Now, with that comes its own, hurdles to jump over. Specifically talking about, the Ram Revolution. I mean, I was so excited to announce the giant unveiling for that was supposed to be only about like 10 days away from today. Well, we just heard that it's actually going to be pushed till January. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Plus, I wanted to take some time today, since we are in kind of this like purgatory of, especially if you're trying to buy an electric truck or really any larger EV. It's tough out there. There's really not a lot of competitors. It's all just mid-size SUVs. You could get 100 of those if you want. There's tons of options, but anything bigger, which, there's not really any SUVs. So therefore you're in my boat where you're searching for an electric truck, or you're just a truck guy ready to go electric, which awesome. So if you're any of those, first we're going to cover that GMC Sierra versus Ram Revolution. I'm going to call it a little bit of a drama there. We're going to cover that first, and we're just going to look at the state of EV trucks a little bit. We're going to break down where we're at, and if you are trying to get in the game right now, where do you even start? So I'm going to hopefully help you with that, and I can't wait to do it because it's been a while since I made a video. I've been traveling. I was in California for a couple of days, and then I came back and I had like 40 e-bike reviews to post. So just busy, but happy to be back on the regular schedule. Man, this is the longest intro ever, but I'm not going to roll the intro quite yet because first, as always, remember, until December 1st is the day I will be ending the giveaway for this Electron V-Box, an amazing 40 amp electric car charger that uses a NEMA 1440 connection to powerfully charge your electric vehicle. So if you are the lucky few who already has an electric truck, maybe one's in delivery soon or something, and you don't have a charger yet, make sure you enter in the link below for a chance to win this totally free, no purchase necessary. Just follow the prompts in the giveaway link below. And as I said, December 1st, we're giving this away to one lucky viewer. And that's my way of, mine and Electron's way of saying thank you guys for watching all my videos. And, again, I just really, really appreciate it because it's just something I love doing, and having the audience here makes it feel like I'm not just in my basement talking to myself, even though that's exactly what I'm doing. All right, guys, let's get into it. All right, it wasn't too long ago. I was sitting down here very excited about the debut of the Ram Revolution, the EV truck from Stellantis. It was coming in at a perfect time until, and this is, okay, let me preface this. This is all my theory, but as I've mentioned, I have a background in marketing. I feel like I have a good pulse of how these sort of things work. And my overarching theory here is I think GMC, who just released their lineup of the GMC electric Sierra, totally ate Stellantis' lunch. And that is my hunch of why they are now postponing the reveal all the way to January 5th at CES. So just as a background, they were supposed to at the LA Auto Show release the Ram Revolution, and that was set. They announced it and everything, or they actually announced that it'll come before that. And to keep this in chronological order, just the other day, out of nowhere, actually, GMC comes in and says, not so fast, Stellantis. We have an electric truck and it's here. And they came in hard. They did the announcement. But what they did, and this is important, is barely released this truck at all. In fact, I think reservations capped at like 2,000 2,000 people or something, which is very small. And they're also only allowing one trim. It's a very, very small low-out. It's pure marketing and publicity. It's far from an actual release. But regardless, they're the buzz right now. It's all about the Sierra EV. And there's 4 trims that we'll actually talk about a little bit later in this video. Spoiler, I love it. The only downside is all of that is like 2 years away minimum before you can even order some of these trims. You can't even order the one they just released because they capped it and threw it away already. So they really just came in and it was all marketing. It was just, here's what it's going to look like. We're going to let maybe, I think, I don't know the exact number, I apologize, but I think it was like 2,000 people get a lucky first edition of this, and then the rest we'll deal with later, if at all. So who knows when we'll see those other trims, but they did this, which meant if Stellantis came out and did their Ram Revolution right now, the publicity cycle just isn't there. They're going to be fighting the Denali, which in some ways is good. There's a lot of people who will make like comparison videos and articles. But all said and done, they don't get the spotlight to themselves, which I'm sure they thought they would have had at a LA Auto Show release. So wisely, mind you, because it's probably a good, I don't know, year or so away anyway, they're pushing it back till January at CES. And this is probably the safe move, being that GM released the Silverado EV last year at CES. For Stellantis, they're like, well, if you're going to eat my lunch and take our release away, well, we're just going to copy what you did and release ours the same way you did the Silverado, because that seemed to work just fine. So long story short, we're going to have to wait that much longer to see what Ram is going to do with the Revolution. And I would say it's got to be a big release if they're pushing it again. And hopefully they do come up to bat with a pretty great contender. I'd love to see it right now, because, well, that draws us into the second half of this video, is like, what is this landscape of electric trucks that we're living in right now? It's kind of wild. Now, since we've been talking about two in specific, the two newest contenders, let's kind of work our way backwards. We already kind of went over what's going on with the Ram Revolution, and we're just going to put a pin in that because obviously there's nothing really to report until January. But GMC, who just released the Denali, I keep wanting to call it the Denali EV. It's the Sierra, but it's just the Denali trim that's going to be available for now. That was just released, and to be frank, I like it a lot. I think it looks really cool. They did a good job balancing the futuristic with a classic truck look. I think it's got a great interior that they released a couple still shots of, a great exterior. What's interesting, though, is of the trims that will eventually be available, I like this Denali Premium the very least. I think the coolest one is this AT4 trim level, which is like their off-road, luxury off-road, I guess, trim that they have now for the current Sierras, and I think even... what's their SUV? Acadias, I think you can get them in. Yukons, you can get them in. So the AT4 is a newer but very cool trim that they're releasing to kind of fill that like adventurous market, which it's working for me. I think it's great. So I love that look on the EV because there's, other than Rivian, there's no like, I don't know, mountain focused, outdoorsy EV trucks out there. So great move on that part. But even the very base trim of this truck is pretty fantastic looking. I love what they did, and it's supposed to come in at $50K. If they can actually do this in about, it'll be 2 years from now, but if they can actually come to the plate with a $50K, decently loaded, great looking electric truck, I could see me jumping ship and totally buying that, because $50K to $60K is the, I think, smartest window of a car that you should go. You should probably not be, even if you can afford it, it's just silly to spend more than $60K on a truck. But Larry, you're about to spend 70 on a Lightning. I know, I'm an idiot. I feel stupid that I'm doing that, but I really want it. I'll probably sell it, like I said, in a year or two to get the Silverado, and then a year after that to get the GMC, and then a year after that to get the Revolution. My goal is to own them all, and I'll probably, to be honest, end up with a Rivian once it doesn't take 2 years to order one. Anyway, back on track here. The GMC trucks do look great, but it's vaporware, essentially. It's so far out. It's just, even if you were lucky enough to get a reservation in on these, I wouldn't expect anything for a while. But since they did cap the reservations, I wouldn't think that they're going to have any issues getting those trucks to those people who got the reservation. However, I do think it might be a little bit out timeline-wise. Now, since we're on GMC, let's move to the next one, the GMC Hummer truck, which is another awesome looking vehicle. It's just really expensive and you can not order them right now. They closed bookings a couple months ago, so you can't order one even if you wanted one, which kind of stinks. They are upping production though. Last quarter they were at like 400 made total, but they went ahead and tripled, almost quadrupled that, I believe, for last quarter, and then they're getting a little bit of traction. That was until they had a huge issue with sealing for their battery packs. Now, this was also affected a couple other GM electric vehicles, but they recalled every single one of those GMC Hummers for this issue, and they're doing a stop sale. So big red flag on this vehicle. Hopefully there's a solution by now. I haven't followed back up. That was like almost a month ago where they announced that, but yeah, not looking good for the GMC Hummer. I'd hold off for now. Not that you could make a reservation if you wanted to. Let's move on. The Cybertruck. We should talk about it because there's news. More bad news, though. Tesla's Cyber Rodeo a while back, they said, 2023, we're finally going to get you that truck we promised. So the announcement of 2023 we got from that Cyber Rodeo is now more specifically late 2023, which if I had to roll my dice, I would say it would go later, even into early 2024. Again, it's a vehicle that looks wild, but I like it. I think it's really cool. I've owned a Tesla. I think Tesla's great. They've got the best network, obviously, for charging. They're reliable. They are tech perfection in a lot of ways. They've mastered it, essentially. They're doing their thing. So the good news is once this does hopefully finally roll out someday, it'll do a good job. It'll be way more than we thought it would. It won't be 40K. It'll be like 100K. And it'll take a year or two before, I would say maybe 3 years to fill everybody's reservation, because there's apparently like 1 million reservations or something. So half of those, if not more, will drop out, but then they'll take 3 years to fill in all the others. Long story short, it sucks. Especially, what was that? Almost 3 years ago, 4 years ago, where people were so hype on this. I had a reservation. That's probably what got me into electric vehicles, to be honest, because I was like, yeah, 40K, I'll drive a Cybertruck all day long. And here I am now talking about a bunch of other trucks that'll come before the Cybertruck. Long story short, not looking good. We just got news. The full article is linked below. And fingers crossed that someday we'll see this thing, but it's not looking great. Up next on the list, I always love to talk about Rivian. They are technically not a full-size truck option, but they're the most legitimate option that you can actually get right now, because you can actually go on their website today and order it. None of the other trucks on this list you can actually order, which is to say a lot. There's a caveat to that, the fact that it's almost a 2-year wait if you do order one, and that the price is way up because they cut out all of their cheaper trims. So Rivian's not doing amazing when it comes to options and availability, but they have a great product. It's an awesome, awesome truck. They now have their SUV version, the R1S, which is awesome, awesome, awesome. One of the best interiors, I think, of any vehicle. Gorgeous moonroof. Like they're doing it. It looks fantastic. The downside, of course, though, like I just said, you're waiting and waiting and waiting, but you're getting into the system. You are seeing updates and you are getting a vehicle eventually. That's the pros of the Rivian right now. And it is like I said, it's the only electric truck you can actually put your money down and, get in line until one eventually will come to your door. In hopefully not 2 years, because they'll continue to grow. They're doing their production numbers. I did a video a while back where they, I think, doubled their production numbers, and they're getting up to 20K produced a year, which means by next year, hopefully they'll be in 30 or 40K a year, meaning they're going to get through that list eventually. So, I'm very optimistic on Rivian. Hopefully the good news just keeps pouring out of their factory in Normal, Indiana. And I'll keep an eye on it because, like I said, that's one of my favorite EV trucks that you can get right now. It's just pretty expensive, but man, let me tell you, when they're rumored to, or they've said that they'll do this, they're going to make instead of quad engine or quad motor, they're going to do a dual motor version, and it's going to come down to the 60K range again, and they'll have production back up. That has my name all over it. I think it's a great vehicle. So fingers crossed on Rivian sticking with it and doing what they're doing. Let's see. And now the elephant in the room. Oops. You read that? It says the Lightning. I don't know why I'm so negative about this thing right now, but it's just crazy. I don't know where to start. If you're a viewer of this channel, you've heard it all. What else is there to say? Let's dive back into it though. Just a quick refresher. They are starting to do wave orders again. So if you have a reservation, I think twice a month. You could check my last video I did on this where I dove into the actual production schedule. But if I remember, I think it was like twice a month they're going to be, excuse me, they're going to be calling the reservation names. And by the end of less than a year, I think by early next summer, everyone on that reservation list should get the call to order just 2 of the higher trims. So just a terrible rollout. Maybe they should have followed what GMC did and only let 1,000 people do a reservation, because it's been a rough time. I mean, those who already have their truck they're just not admitting that it's a bad rollout because they're already happy and behind the wheel. But there's a lot of people left with a very, very sour taste in their mouth right now. They were so hype on this truck, and it'll never happen, because even when they do get called to the reservation, if they wanted that 40K truck that they originally put the reservation in for, they're just not going to get it. Maybe, in a year or two, the market will simmer down, the prices will go back to something a little more reasonable, and the used market won't be as crazy, and maybe we'll see some sub 50K used Lightning Pros on the market. There's always a chance we'll see that, but it's not looking like it right now. Long story short, if you go to Ford's website right now, you'll see the Pro starts at $53,000. Goes up from there all the way to 100K based on your trim. And if those prices don't scare you, especially in the Lariat to Platinum, those are where the production is really focused right now. You're going to see a lot of those, maybe even swoop down to MSRP, because they're going to get through that list quickly, because I'd guess most of them don't want to fork out the 80K or whatever it is to get the Lariat. So there's a good chance that will cycle into normal production soon at just those high trims. So if that's what you're looking for and you don't mind waiting, I bet you'll see some soon. I've seen stories all over on the forums right now of people finding those 2 specific trims no longer marked up at a fair price at a dealership where they just went in and bought it that day without a reservation. So realistically, that is still the best truck to go get right now, because you can actually find one at not a lot of markup to no markup at all. You just got to do the work. You got to call some dealers. You got to look around, but they're out there. I've seen like 1 or 2 every day. Yeah, there's still some markups here and there, but based on your state, you should be able to see them with a little bit of work, like I said. So again, if you don't have a reservation, this is where your focus should be for an electric truck within the next year, because I guarantee the market's going to settle down. You're going to see these settle in price and maybe definitely not go below MSRP, but at least be at MSRP before we know it. I have a strong feeling about that. Okay, I've been talking too long. This is my first video back in over, I think, 2 weeks I've posted an actual video here. So getting the kinks out. Thanks for bearing with me. If you made it to the end here, you're the best, especially you. I really appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to go try to edit this and get it up tonight. It's Sunday, so if you're watching this on Sunday and I got this edited and up in time, man, give me, I don't know, comment. Good job, Larry. Okay, bye.